Have you ever stopped to think about the tiny, powerful word that holds your entire reality together? The word that lets you say, I am here, you are my friend, or this is amazing. Without it, our world would crumble into a confusing mess of unnamed objects and unexpressed existence. That word is the verb to be, and I'm here to guide you through its simple, beautiful magic. Trust me, by the end of our time together, you'll see this humble verb in a whole new light, and your confidence in using English will soar. I've taught thousands of students, and the moment they truly grasp are the moment everything clicks into place. So, let's embark on this journey together. My name is Alex, and I've been an English teacher for over a decade. I've seen the struggles, the confused faces, the hesitant pauses when people encounter English grammar. But I've also witnessed the joy of breakthrough, and it often starts with this fundamental verb. The verb to be is the cornerstone of the English language. It's our most important verb, yet it's often taken for granted. Think of it as the glue that holds sentences together, allowing us to identify, describe, and locate things and people. It's so essential that we use it every day, often without even realizing it. Now, you might be wondering, why is it so special? Well, unlike most verbs, to be is a copula verb. That's a fancy term meaning it connects the subject of a sentence to additional information about that subject. For example, in she is a doctor, is links she to a doctor, telling us more about her. It doesn't show action like run or eat, instead, it shows a state of being. This is a crucial distinction. In English, we use am, is, are in the present tense to express who or what someone or something is. These three little words are the present tense forms of to be, and they change depending on the subject. Let's break it down simply. Am is used only with the subject I. It's unique and personal. You say, I am happy, or I am a teacher. It's all about you. Then, is used with singular subjects like he, she, it, or any singular noun. For instance, he is tall, she is intelligent, the cat is sleepy. Finally, are is used with plural subjects like we, you, they, or any plural noun. So, we are friends, you are amazing, they are students. Notice how you can be singular or plural, but it always uses are. That's a small quirk to remember. But here's a pro tip that will save you from common mistakes: always match the verb to the subject. If the subject is singular, use is; if plural, use are. And I always get am. It sounds straightforward, but in fast speech, people often mix them up. For example, saying he are is incorrect, it should be he is. This matching is called subject-verb agreement, and it's the golden rule for using am, is, are correctly. Let that sink in as we prepare to dive deeper. Now that we've unlocked the basic magic of am, is, are, let's dive into the power of negation in questions, because sometimes you need to say what isn't true or ask about what is. Imagine trying to express doubt or curiosity without these tools. You'd be stuck in a world of only statements, unable to explore or clarify. That's why mastering the negative and question forms is like getting the keys to a whole new level of communication. I remember a student of mine, Maria, who once told me she felt trapped because she could only say I am happy but not I am not sad. When she learned to use am not, it was a liberation. So, let's set you free right now. First, let's talk about making negative sentences. It's incredibly simple, you just add not after am, is, or are. For example, I am not tired, he is not late, or they are not here. But here's a pro tip that makes you sound more natural. We often use contractions in everyday speech. So, I am not becomes I'm not. Notice that I'm not contracts to I'm not, and there's no contraction for I'm not like am meant because that doesn't exist in standard English. For is not, we say isn't, as in she isn't busy. For are not, it's aren't, like we aren't ready. Using contractions makes your English flow better and helps you blend in with native speakers. But wait, there's a common mistake I see all the time, people saying I aren't or he aren't. Remember, always match the contraction to the subject. I goes with I'm not I aren't. Similarly, he goes with isn't, not he aren't. This goes back to that golden rule of subject-verb agreement we discussed earlier. Let me give you a quick exercise. Try making these sentences negative. You are my friend. Did you say you aren't my friend or you are not my friend? Both are correct. It is raining becomes it isn't raining. See how easy that is? Now, on to questions. Forming questions with am, is, are is a game changer because it lets you engage in conversations. To make a question, you simply invert the subject and the verb. So, instead of you are happy, you ask are you happy? Instead of she is a doctor, it becomes is she a doctor? And for I, it's am I late? This inversion might feel strange at first, but with practice, it becomes second nature. Here's a relevant fact. In English, we use rising intonation at the end of yes/no questions to signal that we're asking something. So, when you say are you coming, let your voice go up a bit on coming. To help you remember, I've got a fun tip. Think of am, is, are as little helpers that love to jump to the front of the sentence when there's a question. For example, they are here becomes are they here? The book is on the table turns into is the book on the table? And don't forget, when answering, you can use the full form or a contraction, yes, I am or no, he isn't. But never say yes, I'm in isolation, it's always yes, I am. That's a small but crucial detail that makes your English polished. But knowing how to form questions is only half the battle. The real magic happens when you start using them in conversations. Let's explore the different types of questions you can ask with am, is, are, because this is where your English will truly come alive. Think about it, most conversations are a series of questions and answers. By mastering this, you're not just learning grammar, you're learning how to connect with people. I want you to imagine yourself confidently asking a colleague, is the meeting at 3 p.m., or warmly asking a new friend, are you from around here? These small interactions build bridges. We have two main types of questions, yes/no questions and WH questions. Yes/no questions are straightforward because they require a simple yes or no answer. You already practiced the inversion. Are you ready? Is it cold outside? Am I in the right place? The structure is always the same. The verb becomes first, then the subject. This structure is fundamental, and it applies to all tenses, making it a pattern worth memorizing. Now, for WH questions, we add a question word at the beginning. These words are what, where, when, why, who, and how. For example, where are you from? What is your name? How is the weather? Here's a crucial piece of advice that many learners miss. The structure after the question word remains the same as a yes/no question. So it's question word plus verb be plus subject. Don't fall into the trap of saying where you are from. The correct order is always where are you from. Let's break down another one. What is your job? The question word is what, then the verb is, then the subject your job. This pattern is your key to forming countless correct questions. Practice by taking a simple statement like "the keys are on the table" and turning it into a question, "Where are the keys?" Another powerful and incredibly common use is in tag questions. These are the short questions we add to the end of a statement to confirm or seek agreement, like "It's a beautiful day, isn't it?" or "You're not leaving, are you?" The rule is simple: if the main statement is positive, the tag is negative. If the statement is negative, the tag is positive. You simply use the same verb from the statement in the tag. You are busy, aren't you? She isn't coming, is she? This might seem tricky, but it's a fantastic tool for making your speech sound more natural and engaging. Remember, the goal is communication, not perfection. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Every time you form a question correctly, you are opening a door to new information and deeper connections. I encourage you to practice this actively today. Look around you and form questions about what you see. What is that building? Who are those people? How am I doing? This constant, low-pressure practice will wire your brain to use this structure automatically. You are building a skill for life. So far, we've built a solid foundation with the present and past tenses of to be. But life isn't just about the now and the then, it's also about what's next. This is where the future tense comes in, and it's surprisingly simple with the verb to be. In fact, it's one of the easiest future forms to master in English. I want you to feel the excitement of being able to project yourself into the future, to talk about your plans and predictions with clarity and confidence. Imagine telling someone, "I will be there," or asking, "Will you be at the party?" This ability opens up a world of possibilities for making arrangements and sharing your dreams. To form the future tense of to be, we use the auxiliary verb will followed by the base form be. It does not change. It remains constant regardless of the subject. This is the beautiful simplicity of it. So, you say "I will be," "you will be," "he will be," "she will be," "it will be," "we will be," and "they will be." The contraction for all these is LLB. So, I'll be, you'll be, he'll be, and so on. For example, "I will be a doctor one day" becomes "I'll be a doctor one day." "They will be so happy" becomes "they'll be so happy." We use this future form to talk about a state of being that will exist at a later time. It could be a fact, a plan, or a prediction. The meeting will be tomorrow at noon. That's a fact. I will be on vacation next week. That's a plan. It will be sunny later. That's a prediction. Notice how in each case, we're describing a condition or identity in the future. A common mistake is to try and use am, is, or for the future by adding a time word, like "I am there tomorrow." This is incorrect. You must use will be to clearly place the state of being in the future. Of course, we also need to know how to make negative statements and questions. For the negative, we simply add not after will, creating will not be. The contraction is won't be. So, "I will not be available" or "I won't be available." She won't be late. For questions, we invert will and the subject. Will you be at the concert? Will it be difficult? When will you be home? Here, the structure remains consistent: question word plus will plus subject plus be. Let me leave you with a powerful thought. The verb to be is unique in its future form because it's so unchangeable and dependable. While other verbs have different future forms, to be simply relies on will and be. This is a huge advantage for you as a learner. Practice this by thinking about your own future. Describe what you will be, where you will be, and who you will be with. Say it out loud. I will be successful. My family will be proud. You are not just practicing grammar, you are affirming your future. And that is the ultimate power of this incredible verb. Now, let's venture into a territory that often causes confusion but is absolutely essential for sounding fluent, the use of to be in continuous tenses and as a helper for the passive voice. This is where the verb to be truly proves its versatility and power. You see, to be isn't just for stating facts like I am a teacher, it's also the key engine that drives actions in progress and actions done to the subject. Understanding this will dramatically expand your expressive range in English. First, let's talk about the continuous tenses, also known as the progressive tenses. These tenses describe actions that are ongoing, in progress, or temporary. And guess what? The verb to be is the essential auxiliary verb that makes them possible. The structure is always the correct form of to be plus the main verb ending in ing. For example, in the present continuous, we say I am teaching, you are learning, he is listening. Here, am, are, and is are not stating a permanent identity, they are helping to indicate that the action of teaching, learning, and listening is happening right now. This is a crucial distinction. Compare I teach English, which is a simple fact about my profession, with I am teaching English, which means I am doing it at this very moment. The verb to be is the signal that tells the listener the action is underway. This applies to all time frames. For the past continuous, we use was or were, I was sleeping when you called. For the future continuous, we use will be, I will be waiting for you. The constant, the backbone of all these structures, is our mighty verb to be. Now, let's introduce the passive voice. This is a more advanced concept, but I will explain it simply. In an active sentence, the subject does the action, the chef cooks the meal. In a passive sentence, the subject receives the action, the meal is cooked by the chef. Notice the structure? It's the form of to be plus the past participle of the main verb. The passive voice is used when the action is more important than who did it, or when the doer is unknown. The window was broken. We don't know who broke it, we just know the state of the window. The verb to be is the bridge that allows this shift in focus. It connects the subject to the action that it has experienced. So, the book is read by millions, uses is to form the present passive. The house was built in 1990, uses was for the past passive. The project will be finished soon, uses will be for the future passive. This might feel like a lot, but see the pattern? It's always to be plus another verb form. This consistency is your greatest ally. You are not learning 100 different rules, you are learning one powerful pattern with multiple applications. But here is the most common pitfall I see, the one that can betray a learner in an instant, confusing the continuous form with the simple form of to be. This is a critical distinction that separates basic understanding from true proficiency. Let me be very clear. You cannot say I am being a teacher to mean I am a teacher. The first sentence describes a temporary behavior, while the second describes a permanent identity. This is the subtle yet powerful difference between a state and an action. The simple form of to be expresses a state, who you are, what something is, or a permanent characteristic. She is kind. They are from Canada. Water is wet. These are considered facts. The continuous form, being, is used much less frequently and only for temporary behavior or actions. It often implies a conscious effort. For example, he is being silly means he is acting silly right now, but it's not his usual personality. You are being very helpful emphasizes your current actions, not your general nature. If you say you are helpful, that's a compliment on your character. If you say you are being helpful, it's a thank you for what you're doing at this moment. This is why we almost never use being for professions or inherent qualities. Saying I am being a doctor would imply you are pretending to be a doctor or acting like one for a short time. Whereas I am a doctor is your profession. Similarly, this soup is being delicious is completely wrong because deliciousness is a state of the soup. You simply say this soup is delicious. Remember this rule of thumb: if it's a permanent or inherent quality, use the simple form am, is, are. If it's a temporary, conscious action or behavior, you can consider using being. In 90% of cases, you will use the simple form. Let's apply this to the passive voice concept we just learned. The structure to be plus past participle describes a state resulting from an action. The door is locked. This is a state of passive, it describes the condition of the door. However, if we say the door is being locked, we are using the continuous passive, emphasizing the action in progress. It means someone is in the process of locking the door right now. This distinction is subtle but important for accurate communication. The report is written means it is finished. The report is being written means someone is writing it at this moment. Mastering this difference between state and action is what will make your English sound natural and nuanced. It's the fine brushstroke that completes the painting. So, as you listen to English today, I want you to actively listen for this. When you hear is, ask yourself, is this describing a state or an action in progress? When you hear is being, notice how rare it is and what temporary situation it describes. This active listening will train your brain to feel the difference, moving you from knowing the rules to owning the language. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the thing that makes English both wonderfully efficient and occasionally tricky: contractions. We've touched on them before, but now it's time to dive deep. Using contractions like I'm, you're, and its is not just about sounding casual, it's about sounding natural and fluid. When you use them correctly, you signal to the listener that you are comfortable with the rhythm of the language. However, misusing them is one of the fastest ways to create confusion, especially with the infamous its versus its. But don't worry, by the end of this, you'll have a crystal clear understanding. First, let's consolidate the common contractions. I am becomes I'm. You are becomes your. He is he's. She is she's. It is its. We are is we're. And they are is their. For the negative, we have isn't and aren't. These contractions are the default in almost all spoken English and in most informal writing, like text messages or emails to friends. Avoiding them can make your speech sound stilted and overly formal. I encourage you to practice saying them aloud until they roll off your tongue without a second thought. I'm happy. You're welcome. He's here. She's talented. It's raining. We're friends. They're coming. But here is the critical piece of advice that will save you from a major grammatical error: it's with an apostrophe only ever means it is or it has. That's the only rule. The word it's without an apostrophe is a possessive pronoun, showing that something belongs to it. Think of his, her, its. We don't use an apostrophe for those possessives. So, the dog wagged its tail. Here, it shows possession, the tail belongs to the dog. If you said the dog wagged its tail, you are actually saying the dog wagged his tail, which is nonsense. This distinction is non-negotiable in proper English. Another common confusion is with theirs, which is a contraction of there is. Remember, there is used with singular subjects. So, even though we often say it in speech, there's many people is technically grammatically incorrect because people is plural. The correct form is there are many people. However, in very informal spoken English, there's with a plural subject is becoming common, but for clarity and correctness, especially in writing, always match there is to a singular subject and there are to a plural one. This attention to detail will make your English much sharper. Understanding when not to use a contraction is equally important. In formal writing, such as academic papers, official reports, or legal documents, it is often preferred to avoid contractions. Similarly, when you want to add emphasis in speech, you use the full form. For example, if someone asks, "Are you sure?" and you want to be very strong in your response, you would say, "Yes, I am sure," rather than "Yes, I'm sure." The full form carries more weight and emphasis. So, your choice between the contraction and the full form is your first step towards mastering tone and register in English. Up until now, we've been building the framework for the verb to be meticulously, piece by piece. But grammar in a vacuum is like a car without fuel, it needs a road to run on. So, let's hit the road and see how am, is, are functions in the wild, in real, everyday conversations. This is where all your knowledge solidifies and becomes a practical skill. I want you to listen to these examples not just as sentences, but as tools for connection, as the very phrases that will help you make friends, navigate situations, and express your true self. Think about the most common social interactions. Introducing yourself. "Hello, I'm Alex. I am a teacher." Stating your location. "I am here for the meeting." Or expressing a feeling. "I am so excited to be here." These are the building blocks of communication. Now, let's listen to a short, imagined dialogue between two people meeting for the first time at a networking event. Pay close attention to how to be acts as the glue holding their conversation together. Person A. "Hi, I'm Sarah. I am the project manager for Innovate Company." Person B. "It's nice to meet you, Sarah. I'm David. This is my colleague, Mark. We are from Global Solutions." Person A. "Oh, that's great. Your company is very well known. Is your office in the city center?" Person B. "Yes, it is. It is on Main Street. Are you familiar with the area?" Person A. "I am. It is a fantastic location. Did you see how every single sentence relied on a form of to be? From introductions to identifying roles, stating locations, and confirming facts, this verb was working overtime. This is not an exaggeration, this is a typical representation of how fundamental it is. Now, let's extract some powerful, reusable phrases from this. I'm, name. I am the, job title. It's nice to meet you. We are from, place. Is your, thing, in, place? Yes, it is. Are you familiar with? I am. These are your golden tickets to starting and sustaining a conversation. But here is a pro tip that will make you sound incredibly natural. In English, we often use it to make general observations or comments on a situation. It's a beautiful day. It's important to be on time. It's nice to meet you. We use this impersonal it to set the scene or state a general truth. This is a very common pattern, and mastering it will instantly make your English sound more authentic. Instead of just saying the weather is beautiful, you can effortlessly say it's beautiful, and everyone will understand you. Another incredibly common and useful structure is there is/there are. We use this to state the existence of something. There is a problem. There are many opportunities. In our dialogue, person A could have said, there are many good restaurants in that area. This structure is your go-to for pointing out what exists in your environment. Remember the rule, there is 4 singular, there are 4 plural. Practice this by looking around you and describing what you see. There is a computer on my desk. There are 2 books next to it. You are now not just learning grammar, you are learning to narrate your world. We have journeyed far into the heart of the verb to be, but to truly master it, we must confront its most subtle challenges. These are the scenarios that often trip up even advanced learners, the gray areas where textbook rules meet the messy reality of language. Understanding these nuances is what will transform your English from technically correct to naturally fluent. Let me share with you the insider knowledge that will help you navigate these situations with confidence. One of the biggest challenges arises with collective nouns and words that seem plural but are singular in meaning. For example, consider the word team. Do we say the team is strong or the team are strong? In American English, we almost always treat collective nouns as singular, so the team is strong is correct. The team functions as a single unit. However, in British English, it's common to use the plural form if you are thinking of the team as individual members. The team are arguing among themselves. For consistency, I recommend sticking with the singular verb for collective nouns unless you are specifically emphasizing the individual actions of the members. Another tricky area involves words like everyone, everybody, someone, and nobody. These words are grammatically singular, even though they often refer to multiple people. Therefore, they always take is, not are. So, it's everyone is here. Somebody is at the door. Nobody is perfect. A common mistake is to hear everyone are here because everyone feels plural. But grammar rules over feeling in this case. Remember this, if the word ends in -one or body, it is singular and requires is. Let's talk about connecting 2 subjects with and. This usually creates a plural subject and requires are. John and Sarah are at the park. Simple enough. But what about when and connects 2 things that are considered a single unit? For example, macaroni and cheese is my favorite meal. Here, macaroni and cheese is one dish, so we use the singular is. Similarly, research and development is a key department. Use your judgment. If the 2 nouns joined by and represent a single idea, use is. If they are distinct, use are. Here is a final pro tip that deals with the word data. Data is technically the plural of datum, so purists will insist on the data are compelling. However, in modern everyday English, especially in casual and business contexts, data is very often treated as a singular, uncountable mass noun. So, the data is compelling is widely accepted and used. This is a great example of how language evolves. While you should be aware of the formal rule, don't be surprised to hear it used both ways. The key is to be consistent in your own usage. You are now equipped not just with the rules, but with the understanding of how they apply in the real world. We have covered an incredible amount of ground together, from the most basic forms to the subtle nuances. But knowledge is only potential power. It becomes real power when you apply it consistently and correctly. This final part is dedicated to making it all stick. I want to equip you with a powerful strategy to internalize the verb to be so that it flows from you naturally, without hesitation. The goal is to move from conscious competence, where you have to think about the rule, to unconscious competence, where it just feels right. The most effective method for this is deliberate, mindful practice. This isn't about mindlessly filling out worksheets. It's about integrating practice into your daily life in small, manageable ways. Let's start with a simple yet transformative exercise, the I am mantra. For 1 minute each day, look in the mirror and describe yourself using I am statements. I am capable. I am learning. I am a good listener. I am here. This does 2 things. It builds your language skills and your confidence. You are wiring the correct structure into your brain while affirming your own value. Next, become an active listener. When you watch a movie, listen to a podcast, or overhear a conversation in English, pay specific attention to how native speakers use am, is, and are. Notice the contractions. Listen for the question forms. Hear how they use there is and there are. When you hear a mistake, even in your own speech, gently correct it in your mind. This active engagement trains your ear to recognize what sounds correct, which is just as important as knowing the rules. Now, let's address the final frontier, overcoming the fear of making mistakes. I want to let you in on a secret. Every single fluent English speaker, including me, has made thousands of mistakes to get where they are. A mistake is not a failure, it is data. It tells you what you need to practice next. If you say he are, and you notice it, that's a win. Your brain is already becoming more aware. The only true mistake is to let the fear of being wrong silence you. Your communication goal is to be understood, not to be perfect. Most of the time, you will still be understood even if you use the wrong form. So, speak. Write. Engage. Use the verb to be as your sturdy, reliable bridge to connect with others. Remember its 3 core functions: to identify, to describe, and to locate. Remember the golden rule of subject-verb agreement. And remember the power of its simplicity. You now possess a deep and practical understanding of the most important verb in the English language. You have unlocked the foundation upon which you can build ever more complex and beautiful sentences. I am incredibly proud of the progress you have made by simply staying with me through this journey. Now, go out and be. You are ready.